Or bigger than a hell rain, things like you heard on the decks. Glover hold the court, give the chief no suspect. Politics in the mix, like Gumbo Stewart Rich. Spinning tales from Black Wall Street, real life's the pitch. Johnny Glover Show, read more news. 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 Business tips hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse. Dropping wisdom like Homer, each word a joke. Johnny Glover Show, read more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to gains. Donnie the narrator, truth runs in veins. Johnny Glover Show, read more news. 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 Business tips hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse. Dropping wisdom like Homer, each word a joke. Johnny Glover Show, read more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to gains. Donnie the narrator, truth runs in veins. Johnny Glover Show, read more news. 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 Johnny Glover Show, read more news.
I don't know you, but I get excited with that music. Boy, it just touches my soul. Good evening. Welcome. My name's Donnie. Last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. I've been doing radio since 1999 professionally. Been a journalist since 1994. So that makes this about 31 years or so of radio, well, actually print, radio, television, and the web. I've been studying these indigenous and attracted to indigenous culture since I was a little kid. And I found some people who feel much like I do when it comes to indigenous culture. And I've learned that there's so much, oops, what happened, Harsh? That there's so much that we just don't know. I was sharing with a friend of mine earlier today. I haven't talked with him since I started school. Really haven't talked to him since the summer. Real dear homeboy. We used to wait tables together way back. You talking about 25, 30 years ago. I was downtown hustling tips. And I was sharing with him some things that I've learned here in speaking with you, Hannibal, and the rest of the team. And it's always, you know the scenario. You ask somebody that question. What's the question? Oh, you can't hear? Huh? I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. So you're going to come out and come back in. But I asked them, do you have Indian in your family? That's the storyline. Do you have Indian in your family? And invariably, people pause. And you know what's going through their mind. If you've asked the question as many times as I have, you know what the pause is. The pause is that cognitive dissonance. Let's try them again.
My driver, I can't hear you now. I'm having technical issues.
I can hear you. I can't hear. I can hear you. I can
hear you now. I'm good.
Okay. But saw a friend of mine, and I asked him that question. You know the question, right?
Could you tell me? Clue me in. What's the question?
The first question, when you want to find out if somebody, like if you want them to listen to the show, the first question I ask them is, do you have Indian in your family? Did anybody in your family ever tell you the story?
Right.
Now, it's interesting. I got to just give this to you. I don't know if I ever shared this. My father told me many stories, many different times. Let's welcome in Planet Wells. Welcome in Planet Wells.
Hey,
my daddy told me many stories, many different times. One time he told me, he was a soldier, he was a funeral director. He said, I can speak Chinese. I said, you can't. Go ahead, speak Chinese. He would say, oi, oi, chekaloi, fang doi, oi, oi. All throughout my childhood. Many stories. Story about grandma, his grandmother, she could carry a bucket of water in each hand and one on her head and never spill a drop. I'll never forget that story. But it was one story he told me one time, and that was his father had to leave South Carolina because he shot a non-black man.
I think that's how we got up to Detroit. My grandfather was in Alabama, and he had to leave out of there quick. So I think that's how we got up in Detroit. So, you know, that is the story of our people, I guess. You know, I remember my father telling me stories about his father and his grandmother really being Cherokee, he said. And then I remember my mother and her father. You know, her father was born out in Hennessy, Oklahoma. So that's always been the story of my family. You know.
What's your story, Wells?
What's my story?
How did you become interested in indigenous culture?
Well, I was living in New Mexico, and I was around a lot of Native American culture, and I was drawn to the landscape, and I wanted to know more about that culture. Was my initial thing.
Did you hear any stories growing up? Did anybody tell you a story like your grandma, your grandpa?
Well, my uncle told me that my grandmother was Indian. And I remember as a really small kid, you know, meeting her in Texarkana, Arkansas. And, you know, it really sparked my curiosity, but I didn't really pursue it, you know.
How old were you?
Maybe about 6.
That's
about 6 years old. Yeah. I didn't really particularly pursue it, you know. And but I just always had a fascination, you know. Later, when I got older, you know, I went through Mexico, I went through Peru, and I went through Guatemala, and particularly the ruins.
Did you see black people there?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We don't think of that here. We think strictly American who speak English and who are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. That's what we think about. I asked my buddy who I saw earlier today, I said, what was going on here on this land 1,000 years ago?
Right.
Has anybody ever asked themselves
Good question. Yeah.
because we block that out. It's not even addressed. So we have nothing to fill in the gaps, really. Because true American history would be able to take you back to Lucia. I've shown a picture that full four-headed black woman whose bones are about 11,000 years old. They found her in Brazil. And I contrast that with the Indians who came through the Bering Strait from Asia, because they are supposedly around the same time, 12,000 years old.
Yeah, well, I think the main problem is the trusting the education system. You know, because when you really look at the education system, you know, everybody assumes that education is, you know, for the people, by the people, and a degree of truth. But once you investigate the education system and the founders of the education system, what you find is that they had a specific agenda.
Right. Well,
And
and
that specific agenda is to leave you out of it.
well, what I want to add to it is what I am finding increasingly is that the enemy, because we often look at, you know, I remember saying to my dad about white people, I was about 7 years old, white people this, white people that. And it's been talked about on this show. The real question is the people who look like us, who are in the damn way gatekeeping, blocking the rest of us.
Yeah,
They are the real problem. Black people in position to help other black people, but refuse to. There's a picture of Lucia woman. She's 11,000 years old. They were found her bones were found in a cave in Brazil. They put her DNA together and they came up with this. Now, I will tell you, the most recent picture, this woman's all of a sudden her face is narrow. And I tell you, it's so important. Working on my doctoral now, I can say it with even more confidence. It is so important that we get blacks, melanated people, native people, whatever you want to call us, involved in these archaeological studies. At present, UCLA, Harvard, they have a lock on American history. I would add in, as noted on this show, the Smithsonian has a lock. All three, they have a lock on the narrative. For instance, if you disagree with them, you better go with guns a-blazing, because they're going to try to discredit you because you are messing up their narrative.
Right, it's like you have to use their sources to actually prove something, but
Or
within
get
their
your own sources.
yeah, but within like the Smithsonian sources, they got sources that saying that we are the natives. They got the sources, and especially when it gets to come talking about the creeks and stuff like that. They got the sources. You just gotta do your due diligence and know where to find these sources at. You get what I mean? That's the issue. You know.
And let me just say this on that note. And I've talked about some of these. Now, I don't know that I need to call names, but we got people who have been in position. Okay, I said I wasn't going to say names. I'm throwing names out. Al Sharpton.
Okay.
Jesse Jackson.
Right.
Mark Morial.
Mm.
I said it. National Urban League. Dude, you've been in this slot 20, 30 years. Is anybody else going to get a chance to touch the ball? Or you just going to dribble? It's your ball. We just a squirrel in your world.
Right. I think
is anybody else going to run rainbow push, or is this just about I know the man's sick leave, blah, blah, blah. But I'm talking about us. Same thing about Obama. That's what they said about Obama. It's not supposed to be about you. It's supposed to be about us. We got a black governor in my state. We got a black mayor. It's not about any one of them. It's supposed to be about us. Help me out. Am I by myself?
Well, you're not by yourself, but is that us actually us? Is it a collective us? You know, just like how we went through the presidency before, you know, but that wasn't about us, you know, that was a collective us, but that was
Can I tell you something else, Hannibal? I'm so tired of seeing our black celebrities on these platforms fussing and fighting and throwing dirt on each other's name. What are we doing? What, you know, here's what my buddy said. I gotta share this with you. You're gonna love this. Let me get this lady off here. Lucia lady. What would our great grandmothers and great grandfathers say if they were to look at our Facebook page, our social media? What would they say about us?
Collectively, it's a shame. You know, individually, it might be some of us that's doing the right thing, but we only good as a whole. We only judged by others as a whole. So collectively, they might feel ashamed. But I think, like I was telling my one of the cousins today, I feel a new day is coming. You know, the spirit of us is changing the thought now. And we got to make changes for our future, for the babies that's to come and the babies that's here, you know. And
Planet, what would our great grandparents say about us?
Well, you know, at least from my research, is that there was a great concentration in terms of relationship in the ancient world, relationship to time. So they looked at things in terms of cosmic cycles, right? So you know, perhaps they would feel that we're coming out of a very negative cycle, and you know, people evidence of that would be people like
Planet, I'm just saying,
Mafia Shakur.
Would they be disappointed, or would they be proud?
I think that they would be saddened by the lack of spirituality in the culture. Yeah, because they clearly, if you're going back that far, they clearly felt that that was the most valuable and most important thing. So I think they would be saddened at that. That's what I think.
Hannibal?
Like I said before, I agree with Planet Wells. They'll be saddened, you know, like our connections with the spiritual aspect of things. You know, we was different as, you know, I'm just 51. You get what I mean? So I remember a time right before crack came, like in Detroit, where we could sleep on the porch. But then I remember a time when we was running home when the street lights came on. So, and it's even worse now. So I think like the fourth great grandparents will feel a certain way. You know, I think they'll feel kind of good about some of the achievements we made, but I think they'll feel a certain way about some of the things that we are into, you know.
I mean, I look at, like, for instance, our sports, our athletics, and this is away from the general thing, but I look at the emphasis we put on our star athletes. If you can shoot that rock, you get a pass in so many areas. Not that it's good for that person, but we revere our athletes. We hold them, we put them way up on this pedestal. And my thing is, after you made that money, did you come back and rebuild that wreck you grew up in?
Right. But do you think about it, Donnie? In some senses, they can't. They got to come back and mess with the bureaucracies of these cities and the underground bureaucracies of these neighborhoods. You know what I mean?
This just is troublesome, because when I look at the Black Panthers, did they not start the food breakfast program in schools in the country?
Right. WIC, what we got right now, WIC food stamps. That's the Black Panthers project. Yeah, I agree.
So we have everything we need. It's just that Our ancestors did so much more with so much less.
Right, because we was in the beginning, we was already segregated right out the gate. Think about it. We had to form our own institutions, form our own ways. And then like what, 60s, 70s, we gave up them institutions to assimilate into these new ways, if you really think about it.
And even in those institutions, they were still reading the same books written by the same people in the schools.
Right.
So you have to you have to look at actually what happened. And then you have to have a certain degree of compassion for the Ma'afa, right? And how intense that actually is, right?
You said the Mayafa.
Yeah.
You want to explain what that is to people who don't know?
The tragedy, the great tragedy. Okay. And the great tragedy is simplified by the invasion of another culture that essentially doesn't recognize you as human and links that to a religious philosophy to prove their superiority and dominance in terms of humanity. That's the degree of the sickness that we're talking about.
Right,
And it's hard to accept that, right? It's hard to think that any human being would have that kind of focus or mandate that would be given from who they perceive as the highest authority, right? Which would be the Pope. So the highest spiritual person in that particular culture at that time was decreeing that you weren't even fully human.
right.
And that's
Man,
the
check
reality.
this
I
out.
was just reading about. I
Tight.
was just reading about the
Planet, this is coming from a savage that's just learning how to wash his hind parts.
well, irregardless to that, the fact is
What I'm saying is, if
that
you just learning how to wash your hind parts, who are you to call somebody a savage?
well, in other words, I think that
What did we call them?
what I'm talking about is mental illness.
Damn right they mentally ill.
Right.
But I don't think that the majority of people really accept that diagnosis.
Accept it or not. Just like a drug addict. You ain't got to acknowledge it. But every time you go to that corner and count that thing,
a drug
you
addict is more
acknowledging it yourself.
a drug addict is more obvious. We're talking about a deep psychological trip.
It's obvious. January 6th, you ain't never seen, even with the Million Man March, black people climbing the walls of no damn Capitol. You ain't never seen that in your life.
And once again, the majority of people don't associate that with mental illness.
You climbing the wall, son. The steps right over there.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but from where
only a monkey want to climb, Jack.
From what I see, people don't perceive that as mental illness at all.
And I believe they the cats running around with ice on because they got their faces covered up. They don't want people to know that the DJ gave them a job. The orange Teletubby gave him a job.
Gave him a gig, right? Mm-hmm. So we see material over spirituality. They're just looking for the dollar.
And religion. Somebody put up here about the pimp preachers. Am I mistaken to be looking for that Dr. Kingish voice?
I think them times. I think we're gonna have a multitude of leaders. I think it's impossible to have one leader to move 42 million of us.
Okay. Who is leading?
I think it's family, I guess.
I mean, if
Where's
you
the Malcolm and the Martin of today?
well, the reality is that if you're looking at it from a cosmic view, this is the time for one the individual to be that for himself or herself.
What happened to the village, bro?
The village ain't here.
Ain't
So
no village.
we can get a certain romantic idea of what it should be and not have the courage to look at what it is. And then when you look at what it is, then you can perhaps start to investigate what you really need to make a change, right? But most people are operating from the competition, so they're competing. But competing, that's what I always say, competing to be what? Competing to be equal to that which is
Man,
denying nature.
man,
So
we
in other
struggle.
words, we have to use and activate other parts of our consciousness to really look at the issue without the romanticism.
Right. Because everybody chasing what they say, chasing the bag now. And that bag then is more important than family, ancestors, whatever. You know, you drive on the road now. Everybody's fast. Everybody's on your tail. You know, going nowhere. Wherever you going, it's gonna be there. You get
There's
what I mean?
always somebody with tinted windows. I tell you, the people with tinted windows, look at them side eyed on the highway. There's always somebody with tinted windows.
Right.
Because they do them little stunts, and then you want to pull up beside them and look at them. You can't even look at them. So you got to just let it go.
I think the thing is people so much in a rush to go nowhere. And that's
Correct.
the thing. You know.
Correct. There's no
Left
anchor.
lane is for passing. The right lane is slow, or if you get ready to get off. If you're in the middle lane, it's in the middle.
Right. You can't go 75 and 40. 75 and 40 jumping lanes. You're going nowhere. You get what I mean? I think the patience of it all, we're different. People say it's a different time, but it's not a different time. I think we just caught up in, like Planet was saying, we want the illusions of those who put us in this position we in. You get what I mean? And with them things, we can't. Everybody know when we die, we ain't gonna go with them. The people that we leave them to might misuse them and might run through them. You get what I mean? So what is it all for? You know, think about it. Really think. Just really think. You work so hard all your whole life, 40 hours a week, 50 years, and then you give it up to some kid or to your children or to your family members that is not so important to. They'll blow through it in a year's time, 3 years time. It's done. You get what I mean? But you don't work your whole lifetime for it.
Some people may do that.
Yeah, majority.
But there are other people who are going to take care of grandma's property. I know a lady right now on her way to the Caribbean to take care of grandma's property. Handling business. More of us are standing on business. More of us are buying homes, getting back to buying homes. Because my God, with only difference between home ownership and rent, and pardon, I'm not trying to disrespect any real estate agents out there, but the bottom line is a down payment.
And even sometimes, not even that. You see that, you know, I ain't even want to jump on it. I heard something that they trying to get rid of the credit score to buy houses, you know, now.
Right.
Because it's all a game.
Right.
And they ain't selling no home. See, the market has to correct itself. You got a lot of greedy people. Remember the mortgage lending crisis 2008 when Obama came in? Here in Maryland, D.C., a lot of people, a lot of black people, a lot of melanated, Native American, whatever you want to say, were overextended in credit.
Yeah. Gave it on the balloon payments. They had them big old balloon payments at the end.
They paid too much for a house that wasn't worth a fraction.
Right.
But more of us are getting smarter with money. More of us are opening businesses, and black women are leading the way.
Yeah.
Sisters are not playing.
And that's the point. Somebody said it before, and it's truth to power is we got to put our women first, and they're gonna be the ones to lead the way. But we got to be right as men. You know what I'm saying? We can't be pan-sagging and misled. No, like you said, okay, the sciences of the world was once ours. We taught the world. We taught the nations. It's funny how you say a black person don't know mathematics. Come on. We the one built the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? That's ironic to say them things. I don't know how to read or put words together. Come on. We're not even asking that much of ourselves. This is what I'm getting at. The passion got to be for our learning and our future. You get what I mean?
We had on this show a former kingpin who didn't learn to read until recently, after serving many years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
For us to not push education, literacy, for us to not push it, to me, is disrespectful to our ancestors and where we come from.
Right.
To be walking around illiterate in 2025, we can do better than this.
And I'm thinking about, like, I come from a generation, your parents didn't know how to read, but they was forcing you. You get what I mean? And that's how important it was. But it's like somewhere in the wash you got lost. And this is what I'm trying to get the passion to find, where we lost it at. And it's evident, we can get up here and we can speak, and some people gonna disagree, whether it's religion, whether it's personal life, social behaviors, whatever it is. People are gonna agree to disagree. But what I'm saying now, we as a collective, we have to have some type of constitution amongst ourselves, some type of agreement amongst ourselves, the do's and don'ts that we agree not. These are the things that we agree to do for each other, and the things that we agree not to do to each other. That's what I'm saying.
Shout out to Damon Lewis. I think that's my Baltimore homeboy, Night Crave, DJ Z, Damon Lewis, Mr. Nalgar, and the other people in the chat, Harold Thornton, Big Ma Baby, and I saw her earlier.
Yeah, in the chat, I
put
something in the chat earlier. I put like it's a PDF.
Yeah, let me bring it up for you.
Yeah. So this is a very important document. Got a lot of information for those who got roots down in Alabama, but it's not just
the wrong one. It's the wrong one. My bad.
Okay. Not just for those who come from Alabama, but those who got roots down in the Southeast United States. And I'm going to show you guys how it all comes together, how you could connect the northern tribes with the southern tribes. And, it's got to be some type of studying when it comes to the tribes. Most everybody is trying to find their connection to either the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaws, Creeks, or Seminoles. When it's 500 and some odd more tribes, you get what I mean? And most of us don't have connections to them tribes. You get what I mean? So this is a document by a guy named Don East, and he explains the tribes that were left behind in Alabama in the 18 counties. And as if you scroll up in this document down here, I don't think I got control of it. As you can go, it goes down to each county and it breaks down the tribes that was there. And it gives their name. So in this document, he might have hundreds of these tribes here. He gives you the history of them, whether they're Cherokees. I think he goes into the word Cherokee means Chalaki in Muscogee, or Hichiti means foreign people of foreign speech. So the Cherokee themselves call themselves Tasalagi, or the principal people, or Aniyawi, the principal people. So this right here start getting into the counties the counties that after 1832 that had the tribes remain. So you're getting into hundreds of tribes. So for those who's who's in the chat. And I seen people say, well, we got connections to the North Carolina Indians. So that connection to the Muscogee Creek gonna be the Siouan speaking tribes like the Saponi and your Shawnee and your Yuchi. The Shawnee tribe and your Yuchi tribe is gonna be the common thread. So that them genes from the Shawnee and Yuchi within the Saponi, and it gets mixed into the Muscogee, in which you got us. So a lot of us will have that type of trifecta, the Siouan speakers from like Montana into the Ohio Valley. Then we talking about the Algonquin and Iroquois speaking people that went to Fort Christiana. That's another place. If note that Fort Christiana, that's like in 1718. So we're talking about 307 years ago. And that gets you your modern day Saponi Confederacy. So we've been talking more about the Muscogee and Cherokee. So we're talking about the Saponi Confederacy, because most of us say we got Blackfoot ancestry, or the ancestors say we are Blackfoot. So they talking about their Saponi. So they talking about their Hassani, that word Hassan, or Shakori. Shakori, like Tupac Shakur. So all these tribes was like in North Carolina. One of the guys kind of hit on it, but he kind of threw it back down. Our last guest, he threw it down in South America instead of up in North Carolina with the Shakori tribe and a couple more, tallow tribe. One of the guys who enslaved our Marbury kin, his name was Colonel Marbury. He destroyed, well, they say destroyed in the history books. He enslaved them, destroyed their villages. So this is the reason why I really know about this, because this got to do with my genealogy. So I'm telling you the tribes that's making up me. So I advise people in the chat to look at this, because we're trying to reclaim our legacy and know who we are. So if you got the connection, you'll start dibbling and dabbling, and you'll start bringing back these genetic memories, especially learning the language. You get what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
So I think this is a gem for everybody. So this is what I'm going to start doing, to start bringing out information about other tribes that was in the Southeast, because it was a confederation, meaning that it was groups of tribes that had their own borders. And a lot of them didn't get along.
Right.
Did anybody in your family ever tell you the story?
Right.
Exactly.
Although most remained, this is the Cherokee, although most remained in their native areas of the Carolinas. My father told me.
Okay.
Carolinas, Tennessee, and Georgia, many of the Cherokees moved into Northeast Alabama during the late 1600s and the early 1700s after being pushed out of their former homelands by the onrushing flood of white American settlers. The Cherokee adopted the white man's civilization much more readily than did other Alabama Indian tribes of this era. In 1821, a half-breed Cherokee named Sequoia, his white name was George Guess, invented an 86-character alphabet for his people, and it was the only written language among the Alabama Indian tribes in the pre-removal era. The Cherokees published a newspaper, adopted a constitution, and elected a legislature for their nation. The Cherokee language is in the Iroquois Caddoan family and in the Iroquois branch. Today's Cherokee Indian remnants can be found in Oklahoma, North Carolina, Alabama, and other states.
That was deep here. It was like it's a connection between the Euro Cherokees and the Euro Creeks, and I believe the Euro, all the 5 civilized tribes, and that's the Scottish people. So when you start looking back in history, you start seeing connections to Irish families and Scottish families with the name McGilvery, McDougall, or McDonald, whatever it is. You got to look close, because them was the family that was like your deer traders, your fur traders. These was your intermediaries between, quote unquote, the British, United States, France, Spain, and the nations.
What does that mean?
So to mean that these were the people that was actually on foot living amongst the tribes. So these was like the people that came in and was accepted and then turned around and started and basically sold them out. You know,
Why do y'all keep referring to the Scottish?
Because these were the actual people that, if you start looking at the mixed white natives, they were of Scottish descent, majority of them, especially like Chief McGilvery. Then you start getting into McIntosh, that's for the Creeks, and then you start getting into the relationship with like Chief Van and them. They don't even know where the Van family come from research, but I think it's somewhere up in that Fort Christiana place, because one of the ancestors of them Cherokees is named Mary Christiana. So I think it's somewhere up there in that Virginia area where they come in at. So I said some of my ancestors were Gingaskin Indians in the state of Virginia. Yeah, I heard of them before. Removed because they said they were too black. But yeah, they shipped a lot of these tribes down to like the islands. Like
let's finish it off for those who can't read it. There are too many blacks being held here. You aren't real Indians, all because they were dark-skinned Indians.
Some of my answers.
So here's something for you, Hannibal. This is from Regina. Thanks, Hannibal. This info is solid gold, as I've been trying to figure out if Blackfoot was correct for my grandmother, who was born in Pawnee, Oklahoma, raised in Bartlesville, and believes she was Blackfoot.
Yeah, it's true. You got to look into that, the Siouan speaking folks, you know, and when you get into there, it's going to open up your mind, because you got people, like I said before, like the name Hassan, you know, Yesan, and, you know, them got kind of like Middle Eastern roots. You get what I mean? So you start seeing some of the ancient connections, because it was, when you get into these secret society like the Masonics and the Moors and all this type stuff, it was people sharing this knowledge on a higher level. Like you got universities. You had universities back then amongst the people. You get what I mean? So you gotta be able to. So in this conversation, let me break it down. I done talked about a Siouan group of speaking natives. I done talked about an Iroquois group of speaking natives, an Algonquin speaking natives, and a Muscogee speaking natives, and Hitchiti speaking or Miccosukee speaking people. So I done gave you about 5 different groups of natives that is totally different, that are amalgamated amongst each other. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this is some I think if people getting kind of when they finding or researching their family and getting confused, this should give you type of something to work with.
This is from Ilamada, 9201. He says, love that y'all do this so often. My pops was telling me his mom used to tell him we was Blackfoot, South Carolina, Virginia origins. Been digging into my genealogy to get more answers. We welcome you.
Yeah, like I said, look into them, because in Saskatchewan they say Mona Suckapona, people of the Blackfoot, and then the coinciding tribe was Mona Hassani. So when you look at the Saponi tribe in North Carolina now, that is the tribe from Saskatchewan, Canada, that migrated from there through the Ohio Valley into Fort Christiana, dealing with the Iroquois Confederacy and the Algonquin. And this is where we get the English term. So our ancestors were saying the meaning of the name, not the name itself. They were saying what the name meant. You get what I mean? Blackfoot. That's a story about all our ancestors say. Blackfoot, Blackfoot, Blackfoot. So that's that North Carolina migrating to the South Carolina, like you say, from Virginia, because Virginia and North Carolina was once the same, right? Yeah, that was once. North Carolina comes from out of Virginia territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that comes, and even Canada. Oklahoma was Canada at one time. Now Canada didn't sit on the top of the United States. Canada was out there where Oklahoma was at. That's why you never heard that one. Yeah, so look at it. We can find them out.
Now I know the United States was only the 13 colonies, and that the Louisiana Purchase expanded this country 2/3. Let me share this with you from your paper. Creek or Muscogee? Creek or Muscogee? Yes. The Creeks were the largest and most powerful Indian tribe in the Southeast, according In the Southeast, that's where black people were. That's where melanated people were, right?
Yes.
The Creeks were the largest and most powerful Indian tribe in the Southeast. According to the most predominant legends, the Creeks emigrated first from Mexico to the Red River areas of Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas, and finally occupied large parts of what would become Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, somewhere around the early to mid 1600s. In each case, the aggressive Creeks overran the local Indian tribes, but allowed them to remain in their homeland. As the price for remaining in their homeland area, these subordinated tribes were forced to become a part of the Creek Confederacy. In Alabama, the Creeks settled primarily in a large area bordered on the north by the southern Appalachian Mountains, on the west by the Cahaba and Alabama rivers, on the south by the Florida border, and on the east by the Georgia border. What is now Clay and Randolph counties were in the midst of this Creek Confederacy. The Creek language was in the Gulf family Muscogean branch. There were several other tribes and groups of Indians that were subordinated by the Creeks and living within the boundaries of the Creek Nation. These Indians were erroneously referred to as Creeks by the early settlers. Among these tribes were the Alabamos, which have already been discussed. Others were the Tukabacha or Tukabachi that migrated from the Ohio River and settled on the Tallapoosa River. The Tuskegees that settled near the junction of the Coosa and the Tallapoosa rivers. I sound like you now, Hannibal.
Yeah,
the Ozellis that settled with the Apaches. Yeah, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, we at the junction of the Coosa and Tallapoosa rivers. That's where we at right there. And as, like he said, Tukabachi, and you got Abika, you got Coosa, and you got the Coetas, and or like the Cashadas. That's the Cashadas, that's like Chief McIntosh's faction, the Lower Creeks. You get what I mean? So that's some good information that he runs across, like Coosa County, where my people come from. That was a good information because I was able to trace the names of these tribes into the actual surnames of these people now. You know, like Finico, that means Fixico, you get what I mean? Hajo and all these names, Bruner, and like if you want to get into Cujo and Abraham and what's some other name? Pompey. It's a whole bunch of names that deals with us, you know. And if you get into the North Carolina, just regular surnames that we got: Harris, Goins, Moore, Anderson, Mitchell, Bass, Golf. So many of them, you get what I mean? But as you get studying, you'll be able to open yourself up and you'll be able to recognize family, you know, by just their names, you know.
Now, some people would say, genealogy, why? What's the value of that? But what's interesting is those same people will cling to the idea of one's ancestors. Well, if you don't know your genealogy, there's no way you would know your ancestors. So you see, the neurosis of the two is vitally important if you follow the concept that there should be reverence and honor for your ancestors, because that's why you're here today.
Right.
Please do. This is from Turn Me Up Santana. Please do your genealogy. Most people get told they are Cherokee or Blackfoot or Choctaw or another well-known tribe. But 90%, according to Turn Me Up Santana, 90% chance your ancestors was from another tribe. This is from,
Next.
I'm sorry, I was reading what wasn't up there. This is from Regina Harris. My granny has all the features of any of the 5 tribes of Oklahoma. So does my mother. They look like Black Caucasians. My mom traced her father's genealogy to Cherokee. I was explaining to my buddy that this Dawes Commission was essentially 5 white dudes at a table who said, Planet, you are Negro, Hannibal, we're going to accept you as Indian, and Donnie, you're a Negro. Based on physical features. That's it. And as you know, we come in all shades, flavors, hair textures. But that's how they determine who we were. And I was explaining to them about the one drop rule and how we have discussed it, we have mentioned it all our lives. But did we really know that the one drop rule was their attempt, their effort to take our land, our ancestral rights?
And it seemed like it all started like somewhere like 1790s. You know what I'm saying? If you look at it all when they start classifying in North Carolina, South Carolina, all natives as Negroes or Black or Africans and stuff like that. You start
and we got to remember something you allude to, that there was a confederacy. There was a civilization, a governing body already in place. And you said the Confederate flag was originally a Native American flag. Didn't that come out on this show? Or
that
maybe
came
that
out
was
on
Mike
the show.
Lane?
That came out on the show. I believe that was Mike Lane saying it, but I've seen like the Iroquois Confederacy had that flag. You know, I've seen that before. I'm not for sure what's the total meaning behind it, but I know it's got some Native connections. You know, so does a lot of things. You get what I mean? So does a lot of things that's symbolic.
Yeah. I mean, one of the major things is that the presiding culture, right, perceives that history as savage. And a lot of us suffer from the lack of self-esteem because they associate the Indians with what they've seen on TV and in the movies. Right?
Right.
So naturally, they don't want, to be associated with them. So they pick the next best thing. Right? So it's a very complex, deep issue. One of the things that peering into your genealogy does is it makes it real, because it is your actual father, mother, grandmother, great grandmother, and great grandfather, and what have you. So there is a healing in just the search.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a healing in this conversation here, Planet. We got to take a moment and thank the people. Please like and subscribe to the show. But there have been people all in this chat tonight that we gotta acknowledge. Craig, there your boy Craig R.
Yes,
From Jamaica. T, the shirt guy, always gives love. Thank you.
What's
T,
up,
the
T?
shirt guy. Big Ma baby, always giving love.
Hey, Big Mom.
Night Crave. Regina Harris.
Yeah.
Turn Me Up Santana. That chat be live, man.
I know.
I had something I wanted to share with you. Were you done with that piece there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm done, sir.
I came across something. I try to share the things that I come across in my... Oh, doggone it. I done lost it. I'll find it. You keep talking.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You know, like with me and Planet Wells, we've been working on genealogy, like you've been saying, and finding the ancestors, and it is a healing when you find your ancestors. For those who don't know me or know why I started mine, I lost my mother exactly 20 years ago, and I didn't know who her mother was, and I met her father one time, and only information I knew about myself was my father's side. Thank God that I had a father that had a good family that was tight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
to God be the glory. I know the feeling.
Yeah. But I always, even when I met my grandfather one time, and I could remember my father say he's black, but he looked like a Filipino, as my father would say, my mother's father. He was from Oklahoma. We met him one time. He came when it's 1978, so I was about 4. And then like a couple months later, he died. No, you get what I mean? So it was a blessing. It was, in hindsight, we supposed to see that, and then it supposed to be me for me to do the research. So I done found information about my mother's family she didn't know. I know who my mama's mother's family is. She didn't even know that. My mother only knew who her mother was and knew none of them things. So that's why it's healing in genealogy. Some reason why my grandmother didn't want us to know, I know. You know what I'm saying? No matter what secrets you want to keep, it will come out. You might want to hide it from me, but your family, your descendants will find a family one way or the other. You get what I mean?
If you want to find it, if we want to find the hottest party, even down to our young people, we find that party.
Right. So you can find your ancestors.
You find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't.
Right, because most of us look at as quote unquote African Americans. All of us got roots in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, Texas,
especially our New York brethren.
Yeah, New York, Maryland. New York for sure. They got connections to North Carolina.
Planet, where your people from?
Arkansas, and Louisiana.
But you're a native New Yorker.
I am.
Yeah.
Malcolm, all them cats went to New York. Matter of fact, some of the baddest gangsters went to New York.
Yeah.
From down south.
Yeah.
I think you was about to say Malcolm X, like out here in Inkster, Michigan, where Malcolm X grew up at, his house just now becoming a historic spot.
I thought he grew up in Nebraska, man.
They called him Detroit Red.
Yeah.
He came to Detroit. He lived here too.
That's right.
Chicago Red.
He lived around the corner from me in Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in New York.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Impressionable guy. I went back to school, and it had an English course, and they had a book about Dr. King and Malcolm X, and they met and they spoke, but don't nobody know what they spoke about. So everybody is kind of contextualizing that conversation, because that they was at odds in the beginning, but at the end of their lives they met.
They realized the situation was bigger.
Nonviolent approach with your mouth from Malcolm, but I think I'm gonna have to join you and pick up a 9.
Is that what you said? That what King said?
Yeah. Malcolm, I tried to be peaceful, but they done made me go and pick up my 9mm because I'm not playing. They gonna mess around and find out.
Yeah, after he went up to Chicago and seen a different type of enemy than the ones down in Alabama. That was a different look when he got in Chicago.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to share this one thing with you before we
joke.
Here we go. Boy, I tell you, I'm having
your property on the Bureau of Land Management that's in your great-grandparents' names. You're going to go to the Bureau of Land Management, okay? Now, you're going to go to Services, all right? You're going to click this up here, right? Then you're going to go down to Land Records, okay? Now, it's going to bring you to this part, right? Then you're going to come down here, and you're going to explore the master plans in GLO. Okay. Now from that, you're going to go to search documents. Now you're going to enter in the name of your great-great-grandparents or your great-grandparents. You're going to enter in the state, and you're going to enter. You don't have to put the county. You can leave it out any county, right? And just go to the state that it's supposed to be in. And then you're going to put your name in here, and then it's going to search the documents. And it's going to show you all the things that are in there. Search patents, right? So for my family, Smith, John, and that would be in Oklahoma. So my great-grandfather was at, because he was the sheriff of Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Now we're going to go to search patents. Bink. And look at this. Bling. All of them will pop up. Now, John Smith, right? There's going to be multiples that are going to be in there. So what you're going to want is to have the first, middle, and last. Now, notice how these are all Indians. So when I tell you that I come from real fucking tribes of the real fucking Americans, don't fucking question me ever again.
I'm gonna question you.
That.
Be upset. Because this is the issue, and I want our listeners to realize this. When those natives out there in Oklahoma would say they are the real tribes, they not. They the descendants of the ones that sold the land. Real stuff, and that's especially when it comes to this Muscogee nation. You know, they say, well, we the real ones. No, you McIntosh's fashion. We as a confederacy. The rest of us got enslaved. He said, yo, you search the Indians' names. Oklahoma didn't become a state into the 1900s. That's why he's able to find them land documents. You want to find these land documents, search the ones who enslaved you. That's how you find the ones back in Alabama and before they went out there. Don't talk that mess. You know what I mean? That would get on my nerve about these so-called people want to put out the information. They putting out half truths and shit. Excuse me.
Are these what you call $5 Indians?
Some of them are.
Some of them
I'm saying some of them some of them are Scottish.
$5. Their ancestors paid $5 to get their name on that list.
I'm saying some of these are. So here go the biggest conundrums. You got Scottish descendants of these natives that was in the British armies. Right. So they was playing both sides of the field. They was traders and they was in the army. So
ain't loyal to nobody.
No, so this is why they civilized. They descend from these folks. The uncivilized ones is the ones they enslaved. And this is why I'm saying, if you want to find your land, search the ones who enslaved you back in Alabama and back in Georgia. Search them. They got your land. They had them Cherokee lotteries.
So what you gonna make me mad enough to go down there and pop a cat with somebody?
Somebody got to do something. Because when you go down there, you study them records. You know, most people think it's a game. We out of trillions of dollars.
Yeah, you damn right. I counted in Virginia at least $5 billion in Virginia alone. It's land owed to melanated people.
Yep. And this is real stuff. You'll start seeing it's not no conjecture of a whole people where it might include me. No, it's your actual family. You know what I mean? Your actual family is on these documents. This is what I'm trying to tell people.
Trillions of dollars. That we all agree on. We may not agree on melanated, Native American, Black, what have you. We all can count, though. We can count that paper.
Right.
That we agree on. We got ganked.
I don't think, and I think that's an understatement. It's like we got ganked, and then we got to pay for being back on our land.
Like Haiti. Haiti
removed the same way.
The French, and they've been paying restitution ever since.
Yeah, we pay. I didn't even think about it like that, Donnie. It's the same way.
No, that's true. Absolutely.
Haiti been paying restitution because they made you take your foot off my neck. Now, because I made you take your foot off my neck, I got to pay you because you injured. And that's how a lot of America comes off like, oh, they won't let me play. I'm going to take my ball and go back home. That's America's, when I see the orange Teletubby, I see a big baby. Who argues with children? I remember he was arguing with the little 13-year-old environmental girl, Greta, I think Thunder or something.
Yeah, the girl from over in Sweden or something.
Who the hell? You're the president of a country. Why are you arguing with a 13-year-old kid?
Distractions. I think.
And why are you kissing little girls? Did I see a picture of this nasty something kissing a little girl?
I haven't seen that one yet. That's why.
Because they got some pictures out here of them, but I know this Epstein thing is heating back up again. So I
it's
wanted
all
all them Trump supporters to know y'all just nasty.
well, it's all
Voted for a just who
it's
does
all
that?
distraction.
Who kisses a little child? What kind of freak thing is that, bruh?
It's all
When we
distraction.
were kids, we couldn't wait to grow up so we could get us a big girl. You 13, you watching the 16, 17, or 18-year-olds. Wow, that's how I get to do it. Ain't nobody trying to hook up with a little girl.
Like Planet said, you can't make sense out of a monster, or these are, I don't know what type of being is that.
Bill
It's
Clinton
all
was up in that
distraction.
camp too. His name keep popping up all over the place. Remember the first black president because he smoked the joint? They had oral sex in the White House, so I don't know how that makes you black.
Right. Attach it to negativity. You get what I mean? Attaching ourselves to negativity. That's why it became black. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that, man. I told you I wanted to give you this. Now, Elder, well, Planet outside of here, I got a couple big brothers, and one of them sent me a message that I woke up to this morning. You ain't ready for this, Planet. Put your thinking cap on, Planet, because here we go. You ready?
You hear him, Hannibal? Go
Yeah.
ahead. Come with it.
My show used to be called One Mic on Morgan State University. I'm on Hip Hop Chronicles now, Thursdays at midnight East Coast time. But he opens up like this, One Mic. I guess that's his nickname for me.
Okay.
Top of the day. When we, as black people, lay the claim of descendants of kings and queens, it lessens our heritage. I'm going to say that again. When we as a black people lay the claim of descendants, we are descendants of kings and queens. He says it lessens our heritage, for we are descendants of prophets who guided kings and queens. The majority of the story of the Bible was changed to rob black people of their heritage. The only white people in the Bible are the Romans. All others are black. It is recorded for those who seek the truth. Ashe. All right, Planet. Y'all full of responses. Come on with your meditational moment.
Okay. Okay. Well, like we've said before, that this is a lot of conversation, good conversation, but I say that in order for you to sleep at night, you have to have your temperature in your body regulated. In order for you to see, you have to be able to liquefy your eyes. In order to live, you have to move blood from your right ventricle to your left ventricle and what have you. All this is done without your knowing. Every last one of them is done without your knowing. Your heart beats without your knowing. So the practice of going silent for a moment is to give reverence to that, which is keeping you here, keeping you safe, keeping you blessed 24/7, that you don't even know because you can't stop and shut up for a moment to see what is actually happening, right? So a lot of people say, well, no, we can take this, we can switch this situation. All we need is a gat, and all we need, well, black community got a whole bunch of guns. We don't manufacture any of them. Where has it gotten us? And all of our people out here that have experienced the military, okay, they know that there's no way you're going to take a gun with a group of you, okay, and take over the United States military. That ain't gonna happen. So you need to develop some other qualities that God gave you to assist you in liberating yourself. And one of them, crucial one, is for you to commune with stillness and leave the distractions away. But it takes a lot of courage to do that. Most people can't even sit for a minute. Okay? So we'll do whatever, 15 minutes. Okay? If we can do that without being interrupted. That's all I'm asking for. 15 seconds, rather. Can you do it? Okay, let's do it. You can take a deep breath. That'll help. Give reverence and honor to your life. The life that comes from your ancestral line. Give reverence to all the people who have sacrificed for you to be here. Commune with them in this silence in these 15 seconds. Ashe.
Let's see.
I see. You down with the last poets, man?
The last points. Okay, go for it.
The last poets.
Oh, the last poets. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
Very much so.
subway.
Yeah, no, I grew up with them.
I dug the dude digging on me, but the dude was hung up in a massive confusion as to who I was. He thought he was trying to see. But you see me knowing me, black, proud, and determined to be free, could plainly see my enemy. Yes, I know him. I once slaved for him body and soul and made him a pile of black gold off the sweat of my labor he stole, but his game is old. We've broken the mental hole. Things must change. There's no limit to our range. He can never understand. The new black man, let's alone see us riding every day, riding on the subway, IRT, IND, BMT. He stares endlessly, blinking, blink, 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 blink. He's on the brink, about to sink. I ask you, shall I help him? Can he be saved? No. Next stop, 125th Street.
Power.
We'll be back on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Hannibal, Planet, peace and love.
Thank you, Donnie.
Good evening, world.
Good evening.